I have a little bit of an update on yesterday's debacle situation, whatever we called it yesterday. I can't even remember. I was in such a horrible state of mind when I made those videos. They were raw and they were fresh off the phone calls that are not the phone calls, but the text messages that had been received. I was very discombobulated. I felt very unhinged, to say the least. And God only knows why. You know, a very short exchange between my mother and I created such a humongous mind, body, spirit reaction from me, because I do know. I know that this is how she feels. I guess I just always hope that there's some hope that maybe I will get to see her. Maybe she will have a little bit more conversation with me. But that torture, I guess I brought it on myself. But I did reach out to my sister, because my sister and I do have an open line of communication, although she is also one of Jehovah's Witnesses. She and I just have kept a really good relationship, and we still talk. And we don't talk to a point that, we're not talking about religious matters on almost no occasions are we talking about religious things. I respect where she's at. She respects where I am, and we just don't go there. But yesterday I reached out to her because I was in so much distress that I was like, I need to understand where my mother's coming from. And so I called her, and she had said to me right away, like, I'm just going to be really honest with you. Mom called me, a little while ago, and we had a discussion. So I kind of already know what this is about. And she, I said what I had to say. I read her the text message, and she's like, yeah, Mom told me about that. And I told her, her reaction was very cold, and it was like not okay. But there were several components to this conversation that I have to share with you, because even though I respect her and where she's at, I still am like, I'm not in a place where like I want to argue with her about what I think is right and where I think that, the organization is wrong. But I guess being able to hear some of what she had to say was important. So she told me that my mother had reached out to the brothers about my text message because she wasn't sure how to respond. The I love you and I love you back was an easy response. That was okay. But when I tried to go a little further, she took a really long time to respond. And in the beginning, the first video, I was like, she said absolutely fucking nothing. And she hadn't for a really long time. And then she pops off with, you're still in a position of discipline, with the organization. And so I need to respect her conscience. And that came actually not really from her, but from one of the elders in the congregation. She reached out, and that's how she was told to respond to me. And I think that is insane. I think it's insane that you, Jehovah's Witnesses, live so much inside a box that they can't even open the door and step outside without somebody telling them how to do it. Like, shouldn't it come natural? Like, I'm your daughter. Do you want to see me or not? Like, what does that have to do with the organization? But what my sister had said is that my mom found herself in a position where she loves me so much, but she doesn't want to disappoint Jehovah. And responding to me could possibly disappoint Jehovah. And to me, like, my automatic thought on that was, That is completely asinine. You claim that Jehovah is your God, the creator of all things, knowing everything, understanding completely everything. Why would you think that you would disappoint an all-knowing, all-powerful God in having a very human, natural reaction to wanting to see your own child? There's more. There's a lot more than just that. But I'm just like, there was so much said in this conversation, and immediately after the conversation, I almost didn't even remember it because I'm like, really, like, I was in such I was so discombobulated. I was so emotionally unregulated at that time that I feel like I don't remember properly everything that was said, but pieces are coming back to me. And that was one of the pieces that I was just like, I laid in my bed this morning and I thought to myself, like, what? What do you think? Is it just me? It can't just be me. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, Jehovah's Witnesses, any of you out there that are still, watching ex-Jehovah's Witness content, like, does that even make sense to you? Does any of my story, like, this is now a 3-part series, is probably going to be much more because as I remember the conversation, I'm going to bring it to you. But how does any of that sound like part of a loving process or a loving organization or a Christ-like? Or if Jehovah is so loving, why? Why is any of this stuff happening to anybody? Why? Jehovah's Witnesses? Why?